Hey, this is Tiger. Welcome to my stream. Hey, AJ, thank you for your good evening. I also wish you a good evening. Moin, Akura 94. Thank you for returning. I hope this stream will be better than the stream on Tuesday. I had some issues with my internet connection. It was cutting out and it did not actually indicate that to me, so I was finishing the stream and then I saw that only the last 5 minutes had been captured again. Well, we will see. AJ, that's my microphone is good. That is good. I had a Zoom meeting before last stream, so I think this was somehow disturbed my microphone setting. CD radar, where there is a tiger, there is good content. Oh, that is so nice of you to say that. And I was so happy to see your pictures from Meissen and Meissen Triebeschtal on my Discord server. That was really fun to see this beautiful town in real life. Well, tonight I want to play with you British content in the Birmingham Crewe DLC, all aboard studios, and yeah, well, you might have seen it. There is a bit of a bumpy release and a bumpy start, and we now have more or less an aspiratorial schedule on how things in Trains in World 6 and in this DLC will be fixed. CD Radar says yes, he visited all of the Dresden route actually. That is bombastic. With all the alternate routes via Friedrichstadt and to Großenhain and Röderau and all the way to Leipzig. Dresden-Leipzig is such a big DLC. Wow. What do we have here in Birmingham Crewe? West Coast Main Line. Spectre, hey, so nice to see you on the chat. We have a DLC that is dominated by the Siemens, the Zero trains, the Class 350 Stroke 1, the Class 350 Stroke 2, the Class 350 Stroke 3, and the Class 350 Stroke 2 in the British Transport Police livery that appears here, from what you can see in, well, all the normal services that the other trains appear. I think it should actually be limited. And Spec says, wow, that is what I call a timetable selector. Well, yeah. Actually, maybe some trains are missing. I am still missing a couple of the older content for the British route with the old diesels. Those DLC I still have to get together. So far, so these 350s, I don't know why they use the dash here instead of the slash. That is always giving me some trouble. You have the Flying Scotsman, the Jubilee running here, probably also in the West Cornwall Steam Rail Tour thing, but this is one that I'm still missing. You have the 323 from the Birmingham Cross City route in the West Midland Railways livery, so also the Turbostar, the 170 from this latest Rivet DLC that we have unboxed a couple of weeks ago from Transport for Wales from the Cardiff Central DLC. We have the Sprinter and the Super Sprinter 150/2 and the 153. From the West Coast Main Line Euston to Milton Keynes, we have the 390 Avanti West Coast Pendolino train. That unfortunately has some issues in its DLC. From the Midland Main Line DLC, we have the Express Sprinter, the 158, and the Voyager from the Trains in World 6 core route, the Riviera line. The Lux locomotive is layering in, then obviously we have the Shed layering in, and from the Shap a part of the West Coast Main Line, Preston to Carlisle. We have the 87, and shortly before the release of Trains in World 6, Just Trains also released the previous version of this run of electric locomotives, the 86/2, in a lot of different liveries. Those come more or less in rail tour services, so not that many. So the workload is done by the 350s, the 390s, and some of the 170s, the Turbo Stars, and also the Voyagers. You also get a couple of scenarios. Now, what am I doing? I wanted to go to the scenarios. And you get 5 scenarios. They sound quite interesting. The problem is those 2 scenarios here cannot be completed at the moment because of the problem that the script gets stopped at some point. Contingency measures is actually a nice to drive scenario. I had much fun doing it until the end, because the last item on the objective list you cannot do, because there is somehow the marker missing that you have to go to finish the scenario. So you play 1.5 hours and then the thing ends somewhere in the nowhere part of Birmingham New Street. Unit Exchange is a nice one, actually, where you shunt around in Soho depot, what is a little light maintenance depot just between Birmingham New Street and the first stations on the line to Wolverhampton. And this one you cannot finish because you have to put your brake power control in a certain position, and the objective marker is somewhere 160 yards underground, and it cannot be completed. This is something that is known. You find it in the known issues list that was in the latest article, that also published some kind of a special roadmap for fixing things, and hopefully those things will be completed. Another issue that is obviously also evident is that the services have sometimes weird duration times that equal the starting times, and sometimes the captions don't really work out, because you're actually supposed to go to Crewe and then you stop at Wolverhampton or something like this. But before we talk too much about what does not work, let's just start this experience with one scenario that worked. You can see it, I finished it before. A shortish scenario, not too difficult, but that allows us to actually go through all the stations between Birmingham New Street and Wolverhampton. I've checked out the route on the sectional appendices. What is interesting, because for the first time this route actually spans 2 sectional appendices. From northwestern south to northwestern north part between Penkridge and Stafford. That is a nice picture. That is a view, I think, when you run into Wolverhampton here at this aqueduct. But now first, Birmingham New Street. Due to a planning error, the 9:08 departure to Wolverhampton is without a driver. Board the train in front of you and sit in the driver's seat. I think we can do that even without objective markers. Wonder how to close the door. There is a button to close the door. And let's turn on the safety stuff before we do anything else, because that is something that they typically don't tell you. Turn on the battery. So this train here is actually dead, wonder how it actually got here at the platform. At least we've got a cold start. Insert the master key. Reverse it to neutral. AC. There is only an AC, no DC. In the 350/1 we also have a DC power, because it can also pick up the electricity from the third rail. But in the stroke 2 and stroke 3 versions this is no longer possible. Here this is the switch for the pantograph. Turn on the headlights to the day position. Unlock the doors. Let's see if everything is clear.
Calling at Birmingham New Street.
And then we can unlock the doors, and CD Radar says there should definitely be a setting in the game that always has all safety systems turned on by default. True. I totally sign that one. Instrument lights. We also want the GSMR radio on. Since we are still sitting at the red signal, I also want the DRA set by default if we're sitting at a red signal. Close the left passenger doors. It actually switched to green. It is hard to see with this lighting here. Put the reverser to forward. Maybe wait before
Wolverhampton.
until the doors are closed.
Rolfe Street. Smethwick, Galton Village. Sandwell and Dudley. Dudley Port.
So we have proper lighting.
9.
Looks nice. And now move the power brake controller. So we have one controller for brakes. You can see how the holding brakes are releasing. And then we can start. We have a 10 limit here in Birmingham New Street. Until we are in the tunnel. We have right away indicators for the first time in Trains in World, I think. But they are sometimes lit with a red signal, which should not be, I think. But this is a nice touch that we have working right away indicators, RA indicators. I have not seen that before. If they work properly is a different question. The destination indicator unfortunately is not running, so we only see the middle part of Wolverhampton. Is a 323 coming in, I think, or a turbo star. Gotta check again. Guess the train from the light configuration, and here we can go 50. It is a Pendolino, or no. I thought it was, but the sound does not. It's a Voyager, right from the sound. The diesel sound must be a Voyager. I thought the color is a Pendo, but it is a Voyager. Let's see how far it takes until we have passed the sign. Spectre is right, obviously. It's a Voyager. From the sound, it can't be a different train. I think now we should be out of the 10 limit. And we can accelerate our train to 50. Sectional appendix actually says 40 at this point. Where this 15 limit comes from, I'm not entirely sure. Sectional appendix says it's 10 throughout the whole area of Birmingham New Street. But anyway, it's only a short section. Increasing to 65. What is weird is how the color of the button is switching with running underneath the bridge. That is a bit intense in my opinion. So 65 towards Smethwick, Rolfe Street. So the loop on the right. Something with M. I checked it out, but I forgot. Museum line or Museum Lane loop or something. A dead section indicated. I've never seen the the black signs that tell us where the dead section actually is. And now we are approaching Smethwick Rolfe Street. There is a bridge at Smethwick Rolfe Street that is an FPS sink for me. At least for the settings that I have. Here's the Soho depot, the light maintenance depot to the left. And you will see when we get to this bridge, as long as we are driving towards this bridge, I will have really bad FPS. Well, it's not golden at the moment anyway. I have to check if I have... What happens if I close the browser? If that actually improves the FPS. Let's check it out. I see the chat on my phone. I just had the browser running anyway. Yeah, it makes a difference. If I don't...
We are now approaching Smethwick Rolfe Street. Please mind the gap when leaving the train and step onto the platform before removing heavy luggage and pushchairs. Whilst at the station, if you see something that doesn't look right, speak to our team or text the British Transport Police on 61016.
And now this bridge, if we look at it, like up front, I can hardly move my brake handle. If we look in the other direction, it's much better. Looking at the bridge again, hardly moving. Looking in the opposite direction. Now we see the bridge from underneath. It must be one of those textures that works totally havoc together with my INI settings.
This is Smethwick Rolfe Street. Welcome aboard this service to Wolverhampton. The next stop will be Smethwick Galton Bridge. Whilst at the station, if you see something that doesn't look right.
Also, a nice touch in this train, you can also move the reverser only if the power brake handle is in full application mode. Otherwise, it will not move. So you cannot just go into off while running your train at high speeds. Inspector says I can totally see myself racing along with 100 miles per hour, and then all of a sudden hearing we are now approaching station XXX. Will add a new flavor to the game, yeah. More often than not, it is just enough to actually slow your train down.
This service to Wolverhampton. We'll be calling at Smethwick Galton Bridge, Sandwell and Dudley, Dudley Port, Tipton, Coseley and Wolverhampton. Please familiarise yourself with the safety notices displayed throughout the train.
Also interesting actually is this brake manometer. You can totally see that this is a German-built train because it's a German type gauge.
The British Transport Police on 61016. We'll sort it. See it? Say it. Sorted.
We are now approaching Smethwick Galton Bridge. Please mind the gap when leaving the train and step onto the platform before removing heavy luggage and pushchairs. Whilst at the station, if you see something that doesn't look right, speak to our team or text the British Transport Police on 61016. This is Smethwick Galton
0917 service to Wolverhampton, calling at Sandwell and Dudley, Dudley Port, Tipton, Coseley and Wolverhampton. The train at platform 3 is the 0917 service to Wolverhampton, calling at Dudley Port, Tipton, Coseley and Wolverhampton. Will passengers intending to travel on this service please join the train now?
Please join it 30 seconds ago, because we are already on our move. Acura seems like they'd have a huge problem with criminals at train stations. What gives you that idea? Because of the announcements. See right, man. I love these announcements for complete morons. Dear passengers, don't forget to inhale after each exhale so you don't die.
If you see something that doesn't look right, speak to staff or text the British Transport Police on 61016. We'll sort it. See it? Say it. Sorted.
So even the bolt that prevents you to switch off the DRA switches color when we're going through the bridge. See? No, totally black.
We are now approaching Sandwell and Dudley. Please mind the gap when leaving the train and step onto the platform before removing heavy luggage and pushchairs. Whilst at the station, if you see something that doesn't look right, speak to our team or text the British Transport Police on 61016.
Sometimes the braking seems a bit reluctant to me. But then actually I overbraked.
This is Sandwell and Dudley. Welcome aboard this service to Wolverhampton.
And CD Raider says, I hear that forgetting your headphones on a British train is a big mistake.
If you see something that doesn't look right, speak to our team or text the British Transport Police on 61016.
Tipton, Coseley and Wolverhampton. Will passengers intending to travel on this service please join the train now, as it is ready to leave. Platform 2 for the 0920 service to Wolverhampton, which is ready to leave.
It is not only ready to leave, what is leaving? Now Dudley Port. Between the Dudleys, I think there is a limit to 60 again.
If you see something that doesn't look right, speak to staff or text the British Transport Police on 61016. We'll sort it. See it? Say it. Sorted.
See, the Raider says, I mean, don't get me wrong, it definitely adds immersion to the game. But listening to this in real life twice every day while commuting would be a pain in the head. Maybe. Or maybe I can just blend it. Hello driver, passenger has reported a fault with the accessible toilet. I'll be investigating the issue at the next stop. Yeah, feel free to do that, guard. Well, let me know where we are so that I don't miss my stop. So the accessible toilet again. It's almost a philosophical question. How can there be a toilet fault in a game that has by definition no working toilet?
We are now approaching Dudley Port. Please mind the gap when leaving the train and step onto the platform before removing heavy luggage and pushchairs. Whilst at the station...
Oh no, the toilet's a city radar.
Right. Speak to our team or text the British Transport...
Inspector, Train Sim 7 has a scenario where the driver must repair the toilet himself. Yep. We will see. But the toilets have been a running gag for ages. What DLC was it where you can actually hear sounds, ambient sounds from the toilet through the door?
This is Dudley Port. Welcome.
The guard has locked the accessible toilet out of use and the train will have to be taken out of service at your destination. Please contact the signaller to report the fault.
Welcome aboard this service to Wolverhampton. We'll be calling at Tipton, Coseley and Wolverhampton. Please familiarize yourself
Stour Valley signaler.
displayed throughout the
Or is it
train.
Stour? I did not look that up. Driver, hello, Stour Valley signaler. This is the driver of 2W12 standing at signal Bravo Whiskey for 2. Hello, I understand you wish to report a fault with the accessible toilet on your train. Yes, that's true. Yes, this is correct. Okay, driver 2 Whiskey 1-2, please continue in service to your destination and then run empty to Wolverhampton platform 6 by using the turnback. I understand that I am to run in service to my destination and run empty to platform 6 by using the turnback on the down line. Alright. Yes, that is correct. Signal out. And CD Radar says, I write from East Germany for the first time on the new comfort chat and the toilet didn't work there even in first class. Oh no. Toilets are a thing on trains. And Acura already forgot the German emergency call. We'll call 61016 next time. We will see what this gets you. Inspector, I like the route because it has Stafford in it. Home of the Staffordshire Bull Terrier. Oh. Yeah, well, that is nice. Close the passenger doors. Okay. That might not be a good idea now.
Whilst at the station, if you see something that doesn't look right, speak to our team or text the British Transport Police on 61016.
I should have probably stopped there, right? It's not an objective failure now because the objective did not go so far. Please close the doors, but the doors are closed. I closed the doors before the signaler came with his thing. Now I probably have to stop unguided at the next stop. We just passed Tifton already. So there is Coseley. That should be quite close. Actually, as soon as the track gets straight again, it's just run around along the straight, and then there will be Coseley at the end, I think. This is probably a checkmate. We will see. We will see whether I actually get back to the scenario.
We are now approaching Tipton. Please mind the gap when leaving the train and step onto the platform before removing heavy luggage and pushchairs. Whilst at the station,
Is that Tifton?
if you see something that doesn't look right, speak to our team.
Looks more...
Text the British Transport Police on 61016.
Well, maybe it is actually Tifton. Now I have to stop the train without a countdown. Let's see what happens if we close our doors just after we open them. But they want actually the right passenger doors. So passengers... Unfortunately, we have to open the doors on the wrong side. Please, nobody fall off the train. Inspector says, aha. And Tipton. It is Coseley, I told you. Now we broke the scenario completely with not stopping where we are supposed to, because actually this is where we should be and we are far away. Inspector says if I only knew the number of British Transport Police, but I have never heard it. I wish it would be brought to people's attention more. Do you think it is real, like as in it actually exists? I think it exists, but it is a secret. Yeah, it's a checkmate. Well, so I even went around the objective failure thingy. Okay. Looks like I'm not getting this scenario home. It is completable unlike the other two, but it is also failable by not waiting with the discussion. With the signaler to end before closing your doors. I think I leave it at that and do something else. It's a checkmate. I don't want to reverse the train to Tipton. What I want to do though is discuss the route again on the map. Because that is what I always like doing. And what was not done on Tuesday. So, here my presentation. That part of England, the Western Midlands, northern part of Wales, but we're actually looking more like the Western Midlands here. Manchester to Leeds, Northern Transpennine, Glossop Line, Manchester Airport, those are the DLCs that we all know. Spirit of Steam, Liverpool Crewe, this is where we saw Crewe for the first time, but a couple of decades ago. Birmingham Cross City is also an old standing route. The Blackpool branch is Preston Carlisle. Then the Midlands, DLC, Leicester, Derby and Nottingham. And the East Coast Main Line, Peterborough, Doncaster, all in that part of England. And this is now the DLC, Birmingham New Street, Wolverhampton. This is the part with the many stops, where we almost got to Wolverhampton now. And then comes the part where there are only very little stops, like Penkridge, Stafford, and then almost immediately Crewe. Here you switch the tracks actually. Until then we are on a track that is called Rugby to Penkridge. One through line. Then at Stafford we go on a line that is called Armitage Junction to to Preston Field. Well, it's a very long part going through here. And if you think back of the Birmingham Cross City, we end in Lichfield, Trent Valley, and Trent Valley is this valley here, where also, yeah, this line runs. Not a coincidence that it also hits almost Stoke-on-Trent. So Trent is going more or less in half circle through here, Stoke-on-Trent, Rugeley, Lichfield, Nottingham, and then somewhere here until it ends in the River Ouse and then in the Humber estuary. Third longest river in Great Britain, the Trent, that connects here behind the Thames and the River Severn, what is the river that goes into the Bristol Channel here. Yeah, Birmingham Crewe, set in 2019 and sports all the class 350s as was promised. Later on, next year probably, from Just Trains Crewe to Preston, will close this gap, even though set in a different decade. So much for the route. Can also show it to you on the... Does it actually show? Probably doesn't. Yeah, now it shows. Probably on the stream in the sectional appendices. Route boundary here, starting from the north end in Crewe, with a very impressive station. Here will be the connection to Manchester Airport. DLC where we all know that Adam Thompson did not make the connection between Alderley Edge and Crewe, so there are a couple of miles missing. That will be here, and in the DLC here you can find a bus replacement to Alderley Edge to cover those missing 7 miles. And then we, if you're running from Crewe to Birmingham, then we are actually running up the line, fast and slow, 4 lines, until we finally passing the connection to Stoke-on-Trent, but is also part of the West Coast Main Line actually, with an alternate pathing here. Stafford for Spectres, Staffordshire Bull Terrier, and then we're going here actually down this to Penkridge, switching from the Armitage Junction to Preston Field. Really long line 1001 going towards Penkridge here, and then we are only down to a slow line, the 102, still an important one, still in this sectional appendix here, but a different one. And this 101 line would end up more or less at this Lichfield Trent Valley. That is the northern end of the Birmingham Cross City DLC. And now we are already 105, 104 and 103. And I wanted to go to this one. Yes. This is the junction where we're going towards Penkridge from Stafford. And then there is the dividing line where we have to go into the next sectional appendix from London Northwestern Northern part to London Northwestern Southern part. So we're switching here, and then we are on a line that is called Rugby to Penkridge. That is actually this part here between Stafford and Penkridge, connecting to Oxley, Portobello Junction. Then we are at Wolverhampton, and then this is the Stour or Stour down and up line, Coseley. This is where we stopped while we should have been at Tipton. Dudley Port, Sandwell and Dudley, Galton Bridge, Smethwick Rolfe Street. This is where we have this FPS sink, the Soho Light Maintenance Depot, Monument Lane, that is not Museum Lane, Monument Lane, a loop, and then the tunnel, and then Birmingham New Street. So that is where you find it in the sectional appendix, or the sectional appendixes. And now I think we should drive a Voyager from Crewe to Birmingham New Street. And CD Raider says, yes, it's a checkmate. Yeah, CD Raider, wasn't there a button in earlier games to skip steps and scenarios? I wouldn't know. I've never found this. Bobo, very impressive with this tempo, the trains in world. 58, we could have all the railways in the world. Probably not. So where is my Voyager? Ah, this one is actually going from Stafford. We're not starting in Crewe. For that we would have to try probably a Pendolino. Then we try a Pendolino to get the whole run from Crewe to Birmingham New Street. Let's see if it works out. When I was trying to do the 390 Pendolino, the game crashed. The problem is, CD Raider, we don't need only all the railways in the world, but in every decade, baby, in every era of railroading. In steam, in diesel, in electro, in atmospheric, maybe. So let's see if this thing works. Operate the Avanti West Coast 390 service from Crewe to Birmingham New Street. Unlock the doors. Master key. Neutral. And unlock it. And I can tend to the safety systems. Don't forget the AWS fuse. Now we need some lights. Day running. We have a red light. Let's activate the DRA. It does not have any captioning here. Let's test our GSMR. Passenger emergency. Hold over. We have line volts, that is nice, so our pantograph is picking up some electricity. For the TASS test, you have to put the reverser into forward, otherwise it won't work. Second part of the TASS test. Beep. And now we're good. We can go back into neutral until we start. Won't be necessary the second time. Introducing Transit World 67, all the German routes, and still no ICE4 and VRA 420 soon. Yes, that can happen. Just hope that we get the Tadami line this time. By the way, here's the bus replacement to Alderley Edge. Don't know if that is a little jibe towards Adam Thompson's simulation from All Aboard Studios. Usually here is where the trains from Manchester are coming in from Alderley Edge. But this little connector is missing. It's probably only 7 miles. What I like in this DLC is that they always have those paths of safety dedicated. And they actually send you through those paths in the scenarios. Also in the scenario that does not work. So the markers actually take you along those safety paths. Not just crisscrossing every line in the yard. Waiting for Tadami since first announcement, says Akura. Yeah, so do I. I downloaded this Japanese ministerial document about the signaling system. Tried to auto-translate Japanese Wikipedia about train protection system to get at least a grasp. Cannot close the doors because the light is still red. Now see what happens. A second loop starts for closing the doors until we get a green light. What is maybe quite okay because we cannot close the doors before we have not a green light or a yellow one, at least any. proceed aspect. But it is weird because it has 2 loops in the services. Probably starting at 20 at the switch. Spectre lap me waiting for 420 and 232 for Ruhr Sieg Nord. Like me, oh sorry. Yes, 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 yes. Two, 3, 2, yeah. Well, root for the game to not crash, please. While we're leaving Crewe here with our 390 Avanti West Coast Pendolino. So sweet, the IGBTs. Ooh. Or is it GTOs on this train? And it will be interesting to see if we are getting a TASS light that allows us to go the Ludmilla, the Baureihe 232. I think that is so. So, and we actually got us a TASS speed after passing the first sign. We still have to pass the sign with our whole train, but then we can go 125. The fun thing here on those routes is that the limits for the tilting trains are not faster than the limits for the regular EMUs, as long as the regular EMUs can actually travel at 125, unlike the 350s that are limited to 110. So let's see what happens when we have to turn right. After Stafford. First we have to go uphill all the time. And we're tilting. Just behind the grade that we will be limited to 100. Even as a tilter. And tilting back. In case you want to know more about this tilting technology and the TASS system for the tilting trains, we have a video on the channel for that. For the Euston Milton Keynes core route for trains in World 5. The limit to 110 vanished here. We're probably passing Stafford at speed and don't need to slow down much, if at all. The fast lines are actually passing through, not touching a platform. Now we're going downhill and there will be a 100 limit in 5 miles. Is it still so? It's still 5 miles until we get there. So for me at least, at 125 miles per hour, it is hard to read the signals or the signs for the enhanced permissible speed. Black on yellow. And now slow down. No, it is still further ahead. This is maybe the thing that we would be limited to 100 had we not the TASS technology on. Alright, all good. So our special speed limit He's only calculated like 5.5 miles ahead. Can you guys let me know whether I'm still live or whether the internet outage has got me again? You are live, Suspector. Thank you so much. Can hear and see you, says Akura. Thank you so much, guys. There was a spooky thing on Tuesday, actually. It looked like I was streaming with one viewer all the time. But apparently I wasn't streaming at all. What does the pre... Aha, now here is actually a real slowdown to 115. And we're a bit late for that. Whoosh! And we got a speed warning and now we cannot get it off again. Is it 115 or one? Yeah, it is 115 at this point. Here we can go faster again. You were just gone at one point back then, says Akura, on Tuesday. Yeah. Apparently it was like that, and I was streaming and streaming and streaming, and afterwards I checked out the recording, and there were only the last 5 minutes and the first 30. That was weird. So, now we have to slow down. 2 AWS magnets. One for the signal. Let's see if we make this, or whether the TPWS overspeed loops will catch us, or the TASS speed control. So, signal cleared. Slow down enough. And now we can accelerate to 60. This is the point where we switch off from the Blackpool Field to Armitage line. And enter the one that takes us Alright. TASS does not want us to go with 60 across those switches. Oh yeah, this is because they are 30 switches. TASS system is still working. Good to know. And also the intervention reset works. Then we even get the light off again. "60 apparently is the speed after the switch. We have to go through the slow line. And we'll end up in a line with a single pair. No, Nah. I am wrong here. Why did they route us here? This is Stafford. And there are the fast lanes going through without having to slow down to 60 and go across the 30 switch. Why did they do that to us? Do we have to go across a 30 switch out again? No, we only have the 60 limit here. Why weren't we allowed to go straight through? Can we not switch over here from the fast line? Ah, now I know. See, we cannot switch over here from the fast line. This is why we had to go through the platform line at Stafford. Okay, this is explained. Now we should be on a 100 line, 90, and then back to 120 for the tilting grinds. Alright. So much this makes sense. CD radar spilled some coffees, but we are in the correct track. Yeah, well, this proves again you should have a driver who is actually familiar with the DLC and the route, and not still learning the ropes. Now we can tilt at 125 again. But it is nice to see that the TASS system is working on the route. So it's only 10 miles to Wolverhampton. We still have to pass Penkridge. Let's see if there is any speed limit incoming. I think at Penkridge we can pass at speed. We will see. Here we are already. We're not touching any platform. Oh yeah, we are, but we can pass at speed anyway. We should get a slowdown. Do we not get a slowdown for our tilting speed until we have to go through this 40 gap here? That seems a bit odd. There must be a different path set at the moment. This is a temporary speed restriction, I'm quite sure. Well, we'll see how far away we get this temporary speed restriction from 125 miles to 40 announced. And then we can go back, and here is the slowdown to 110 and 100 before we then get to Wolverhampton. So let's watch out for the announcement of the temporary speed restriction. Was that already a slowdown? No, it was not a slowdown. Even though I was not able to read the yellow board. Here it is. Let's see if we can actually slow down to 40. Until we hit the speed restriction. This is full brakes on. No emergency brake, but full brakes. It seems to work. Let's see how much margin of error there was until the speed restriction actually starts. Not much. Here it starts. Now actually the speed supervise turned off, see? The blue light. And now it is back again. Does TASS do that? Temporary speed restrictions? There must be like temporary TASS transponders or something like this in the track. Now the enhanced permissible speed falls to 110. More for the 60. Not sure, Tigers Inspector. No AWS magnets, but temporary transponders in the house. Well, I think that the TASS system must have some way to feed the information about temporary speed restrictions into the transponders. I cannot imagine that they rely on the driver seeing an announcement board. At 125 miles. Okay, 60 for the junction and then 15 for the yard at Wolverhampton. I think I could have traveled those switches with 60, yeah. Now I was scared after what we ran into at Stafford. But when you're coming in with a not TASS protected train, be aware of those TPWS overspeed sensor loops. They are quite restrictive. And if you think you can roll into the station with 30 and slow down to 15 late, then they will probably stop you short. One weird thing in this DLC is also that you don't have an arrival time shown with the objective marker. So now we're getting close to a TPWS overspeed sensor loop that stopped me once already, I think. So scenery-wise, this DLC is really splendid, is it not? Especially the Wolverhampton part. Sending us to 4. Here is finally the 15. Here's one of those yellow safety paths. You can see how this yellow safety path actually leads back to the station. And at Wolverhampton, all the lines at the station are at 15. But we have really a lot of time to spend here at Wolverhampton Station. Even though we were so reluctant to drive this train until here. We have a lot of time to spend and kill, maybe. In the Voyager you have a kitchen here where you can have a copper. Ah, here's the kitchen for the Pendo. Door doesn't want to close. Well, then stay open. Here's the 3D printer for the hamburgers. Microwave oven. Coffee. Nobody made coffee, unfortunately. Why don't the doors close anymore? Now we'll have all the first class passengers walk into the kitchen. Looks nice, actually. Next stop, Wolverhampton. Yeah, that is already where we are. To London Euston and the next... Are we actually stopping at Sandwell and Dudley? Why are we doing this? For a moment I thought they actually wrote here at this wall Lou, but they didn't. Nice textures.
And will passengers intending to travel on this service please join the train now, as it is ready to leave. Platform 1 for the 12:37 Avanti West Coast service.
Why are we not leaving on time but at 12:48? How can you already know that we will be delayed in leaving? Maybe we arrived 3 minutes late and now it thinks we have to leave 3 minutes late. No. Nice glass effect here on those fronts. Flickering texture. Well, let's fix the defibrillator. Yeah, guys, if you ask me, that really looks nice. The scenery in this DLC. You almost want to visit Wolverhampton. I wonder how they keep their window panes so clear and tidy. Any spoilers? International Moose Count underway by Bob O. Bobson. The UN-sponsored International Moose Count got off to a flying start today with hopes for an increase in the worldwide moose population compared to last year's disappointing figures. No. Underground by DT Games. Nice. And I'm out of my train and it starts raining. That is ultimately a spoiler, CD radar. Yes. We will have a Moose railway soon.
Doors opening. Lift going down. Doors closing. Platform. Doors opening.
For a Scandinavian route, yes. Or a Canadian one. A brother for... the single one Canadian one that we have so far. The White Dove. Peas and coffee is all you need. Try now at Liquid Bean Cafe. So what are you discussing here? The light rail tram station. Oh! Just vanished in front of me. He's stuck at train symbol 4. Oakville subdivision. Yeah, maybe we get a baby bullet on the Oakville subdivision after all. Probabs will give it a pass then, despite the moose. I will not give it a pass. Well, Oakville I would have bought anytime. Oh no, now we're getting a thunderstorm. Mooseville subdivision.
The next train to arrive at platform 1 will be the 12:47 Transport for Wales service to Aberystwyth, calling at
Aberystwyth.
Wolverhampton.
So now I have to actually run back to my train, so that it is not leaving without me.
Doors opening. Lift going down. Doors closing. Platform. Doors opening. Lift going up.
Nanu. There was an invisible wall. Can't you see I'm running to my cab? How long the train is if you're late. Should have set the DRA, by the way, before I left the train. Oh no, I should not have closed the door. I still have a red light. So where's the wiper here? See? And it insists that I unlock the doors again, because I closed them when there was a red light. Now we can go finally. Haha, I did not forget to release the DRA again. Rarely happens. So, we have to leave at 15 until the end of the train has passed the 15 sign on the opposite side of the track. And maybe the most impressive part of the DLC scenery wise is now drenched in rain. Those guys can walk on water, even in a thunderstorm. But apart from that, I think this is a nice touch that they have walking people along the channel. Yep, we made it out of it. We can accelerate to 30. But we are no longer TASS protected here. Let's see if we pick up some TASS feed on our way to Birmingham again. Won't help us a lot because we won't get any enhanced permissible speeds. I think we already passed the 75 port because that is always in the shadow, so that I typically miss it. Yes, and we can go to 75. We actually stop at Sandwell and Dudley. Well then, we do that. So first we pass Coseley. Then there is a drop to 60 before we get to Tipton. And then there will be Dudley Port, and then Sandwell and Dudley. After another drop to 60. So if I'm not mistaken, then this is Coseley here. At the end of the straight we can prepare for slowing down to 60. What a nice grey, all colors gone, looks like home. What a nice looking route. But when it rains, it rains. Very correct. Here's the 60. It should climb to 75 again before we get to Dudley Port, to Tipton. Here's the 75. Obviously we have to pass it first with the whole train, and it is a long train. Here's Tipton. Then we should pass Dudley Port. With 75. Maybe we should honk. And in the next curve there will be a limit to 60 again. First there will be a signal with a sign giving you a 75 again, and shortly afterwards there will be a limit to 60. Here's that signal, 75. And now we should get a limit to 60. Here we go! Limit will increase to 75, but we probably won't do that because we have to stop at Sandwell and Dudley anyway. You can see how the sender button illuminates as soon as we are braking with a certain brake force. So can we actually stop here? Are those platforms long enough for our train? At Sandwell and Dudley, oh well, they are actually long. Sandwell and Dudley. What's wrong with my announcement? Oh, did you see that one? He went through the wall into the train. Okay, that was the last stop before we got to Birmingham. We can leave with 75 here, but we will have to slow down to 65 before we pass. What's the name again? What's the name again? Smethwick. Smethwick Galton Bridge. Before we get there, limit will drop to 65. And look at that! The weather is actually clearing up. It's no longer grey in grey. We've got our colors back, Acura. Look at those beautiful old houses and the canal. So I'm not really accelerating to 75 because the drop to 65 is already here at the end of the straight. Whoa, he says. Here we are. Smethwick Galton Bridge. This is, if I'm not mistaken, actually a railway bridge here. Not that one, the one before. Or that one? Probably that one then. And now be prepared. We're getting to my FPS dump bridge again. What? I wonder what is eating my performance in this bridge. As soon as we pass it, you will see the slideshow will end. Whoosh, and we are going. Proper speed again. And that's it. Now we passed the Soho light maintenance depot, the Monument Lane loop, and then we're home. That's already the depot. A twist in the time-space continuum is expected. Yeah, a weird one. This model must contain whatever that makes my system go into overdrive when calculating whatever shadows that we don't even see. Here to the right, the Soho maintenance depot. Soon enough we should get a Morpeth for the 40. Voyager coming out of Birmingham. That's probably the Morpeth. He is slow down to 40, respectively 25. Dead section announced. Actually have some time to slow down to 40. The 40 limit is in the tunnel. That is probably the Monument Lane loop. Aspect banner repeater. Now we can see the tunnel entrance, and at the first signal in the tunnel we need to be to 40. It's the end of the Monument Lane loop. Aspect banner repeater gives us a green. And here's the 40. And we're going in the tunnel. Woo! I'm always tempted. Now we're getting countdown boards actually. And now we have to slow down hard because a couple of yards behind the signal you need to be down to 10. Well, not before the end of the tunnel. Going into platform 2. Here's the 10. No AWS at the whole station area, but limited to 10 to make up for that. Here's another part where the game is drawing performance until we actually dipped with the nose of our train underneath the station roof. And it gets better. Since they told us to go to 2, we are probably going to the left here. Mid-platform signal is at yellow. That means we can actually go to a proper parking position. There are also services where they sometimes hold you at the mid-platform signal, even though there is room to proceed to the exit signal. And now we're under the roof and the FPS is much better. Always tempted to turn off the wipers, but then we will be docked for riding without wipers in the rain. And here we are.
Service to London Euston. Calling at London International.
Birmingham New Street. And that's it. Yep. So for the next run, what would I memorize? We have to slow down to 115 or 100 and whatever that is, 115 probably, before we get to Stafford. And if we're actually branching to the right at Stafford, we're going through a platform track, and that means we have to go through a 30 switch. Don't know if the pathing is always the same, but that actually helps if you are prepared for that. Guys, thank you so much for staying with me, checking out, unboxing this DLC. It is definitely a beautiful DLC. Some rough edges still need to be smoothened, but apart from that, a great addition. That, ooh, I kicked it away. You should not see, in my opinion, right away with a red signal. And if there is no train at the platform, even less so. So, lady, you're taking us home. Acura, I'm still not sure about this DLC. I'll wait. Totally. This is what I would have done had I not gotten it for free. By the way, did I not even switch on my DLC marker? As always, as an ambassador, I got it for free. Obviously, so I did not have to pay for it. Oh, and Acura gifted a tier 1 sub to CD Radar. Thank you so much, Acura. Your ongoing support. But not only Acura, also CD Radar and Spectre, who joined tonight in the chat a lot, and everybody else who bore with me and us. Let's see how far this train actually can take us until we get into the not represented area. Actually, this area is represented in the Birmingham Cross City DLC. Here's a rear clear marker, but you can see that they left away a bit of the stuff that is represented in the Birmingham Cross City DLC. This looks more like Recklinghausen or the Moon. And now I get a message, welcome to the chat room. Maybe it cut out. Birmingham ordered on Wish. Yes. Moon zone. So that's interesting. We are still in the represented area, but they cut away everything that adds to the DLC. But the tracks are still in. Let's see how far this gets. There seems to be some kind of a depot. Is that another secret like in Frankfurt? Maybe. So, at least I managed to turn off the alarm. Look, now we are in the untextured area. And I think this will be the end, huh? No! And that's it. Now the train is out. Maybe the lady will drive us all the way to Lichfield Trent Valley. Well, we're sitting here, but it is not. It doesn't say that we are out of the represented area. What is nice. I appreciate that. It breaks the immersion a bit, but I like doing that. So main menu, restart. I cannot even go to anything else. Good. Main menu. Guys, thank you so much. See you next week. Hopefully. Still have to think about what we will do. And I'm still working on getting my Steam layers filled. And then I can focus on content better again. And I hope most of the rough edges on Trains in World 6 and this DLC will be fixed until then. Akura says good night everyone. Thanks and bye. Bye guys. Have fun. Take care. Be nice to each other. Have the greatest of weeks. Bye bye.